how Shinymark tackles it. Maister is definitely like undisputed best Game & Watch in the world, and you know, one of the best players in the world. Before we went into the Wi-Fi era, was a top 10 player, being ranked number 6. So very, very great player, and we will see how Shinymark can you know, deal with not only Game & Watch but just the caliber of player Maister is.
Definitely. I mean, Maister knows how to play this matchup so well. He does have experience against some top Pikachus in Mexico, namely Lalo from Guadalajara. Shoutouts to Lalo. And Shinymark, on the other hand, well, he kind of has to practice, you know? When you have such a bad matchup against this character, you have to learn some special tricks. You might need to cheese it. Shoutouts to Charles's Modify page, by the way, if you want to learn how to cheese stuff. Well, no, of course not. If you want to learn how to cheese stuff. Just if you want to learn some great tips that he might keep secret in the future, you might want to check out that Modify link. But still, Shinymark needs to get those secret techs, the prohibited techs, as we call them here in Mexico, to really take this one. And Maister already setting up that bucket, so you know how big of a hit that is. There goes the first stock already.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't like, you know, super know the ins and out of both of these characters, but I mean, Pikachu definitely is a character that thrives off of falling aerials, and you have the liberty to really like cross up your opponent, and you don't really have that, you know, option against Game & Watch, just because up B covers both sides, and even some of these like, you know, combo strings that Pikachu goes for, if you air dodge them, usually Pikachu can go for some kind of, you know, trap scenario where he hits you anyway. But with up B being so quick, covering both sides, just hitting out of that scenario, what is happening? Shinymark's stocks are literally melting off the screen right now.
Yes, and Maister's just waiting for one more T-Jolt to fill up that bucket and take the last stock extremely quickly. Might happen soon if Shinymark gets too desperate and presses the B button. He does send one out, but this one is actually safe. Maister with no chance to bucket that. But this is just how Game & Watch's state of advantage works. Pikachu can really not do that much because he depends so much on the close quarters combat. At times, the T-Jolt will help, kind of like this case, but still, Maister, just a master of keeping that advantage state flowing. You know, one might call it the avatar state.
Oh yes, absolutely. I love the instant wall jumps. We saw a little bit of it in earlier in the broadcast when Shinymark was on stage. Saw a little bit of it just now. Very, very nice tech. Sets yourself up well for specific edge guards. Another thing that Pikachu thrives off of, that it still can. It's possible. It's tough. But even Maister kind of just like, oh well, like, dang. Like, yeah, I mean, it's funny because both of them know. They both know. Like, they walked up to each other, and they just both kind of like, you know, tilted their head to the left and like shook their head, like, yeah.
It is what it is, man.
Yeah.
Not much we can do about this.
I'm very curious to see if Shinymark will go for another character. It's interesting because Game & Watch, it's very hard to play vertically against Game & Watch, right? If you're a character that wants to fall down with aerials, it's tough because one, Game & Watch just has a really great and fast out of shield option, and Game & Watch can also just hit you before you even hit a shield. You just up B's like, oh, you're above me, up B, right? So it kind of forces Pika to play a more horizontal game plan, which usually involves T-Jolts. Well, guess what? There's Bucket. So then, you know what I mean? You kind of put Pikachu in this really awkward scenario where you can still play, you know, you're quick, you can whiff punish and things like that, but your like staple tools, you can't really rely on them as much as Game & Watch. And I mean, generally that's going to mean it's like a bad matchup, but we'll see if we can see these other tools really come into play here for Shinymark.
Yeah, but you see, what I like about Shinymark here is that he is the one forcing Maister to commit. The fact that we're on town and city gives him a lot more space to run, and Maister is in a disadvantage state right now in terms of percent differential. But now that Shinymark's off stage, what's this going to mean for Maister? No edge guard situation here. Shinymark escapes with a great roll from the ledge, but that's the first T-Jolt. That's the first bucket line. And you just know that when Shinymark sees that Maister buckets those, he's like, oh man, how on earth am I going to approach now? What am I going to put up on the stage to make sure that I have a safe approach option? It won't happen. You can't approach the shield unless you grab it. And you know, it's kind of like what you were saying earlier against, well, with Maister against Andric, that Andric could have gotten a lot from grabs. Shinymark can get a lot from grabs too, but It gets predictable. He runs up. Maister knows how to cover that. Up smash, and that's the stock going.
Yeah, and Shinymark actually got a T-Jolt and baited Meister to get the bucket, but punished with dash attack. But it ended up being the sour dash attack. I really would like to see Pikachu's in this matchup in general kind of throw out that one T-Jolt, but throwing them out at KO percents, and it's just like, okay, well, if you bucket, okay, off the top, great punish there. But if you bucket this T-Jolt, I will up smash you. I will dash attack you, right? So it's like you kind of have to choose. And I think in those scenarios, obviously it still sucks that, you know, Pikachu has to limit the T-Jolts and Thunders to that degree, but at least kind of use it as an advantage somewhat to at least get a stocks out of it, right?
And you know, the worst part is, I don't really know the full properties of the projectiles in Smash, but there are certain projectiles from certain characters that don't feed the bucket with that much knockback. Mega Man, for instance, Mega Man actually keeps playing with those lemons, the neutral A, well, the jab, quote unquote, that he has. He might feed the bucket, but when he actually gets hit with the bucket, there is no knockback because the pellets don't have much knockback either. So I don't know if Pikachu can actually feed the bucket so that it gets the full knockback. But you know, if we have doubts, I guess Shinymark might as well just not play those. And you know what? He is refraining from doing so, but it costs him the stock. He is taking a lot more of his approach. And as he is doing that, Meister's like, oh, neutral air, forward air, bump, up B. He has so many options to play in this matchup.
Beautiful whiff punch with the quick attack. That's definitely what we need to see. Just Pikachu utilizing that mobility. Mobility, definitely something that's given sparingly to characters in this game. I think that's why Pikachu is, you know, thought of so highly. And yeah, I mean, oh man, Shinymark just taking a bunch of damage. I'm pretty sure the T-Jolts is enough like damage to be, and Pikachu's so light too. Like another projectile is Fox Laser, right? Like Fox doesn't care if Game & Watch gets a bucket off Laser, but if you get a bucket off of T-Jolts or especially Thunder, you're probably, you know, done it, you know, 0% or something crazy.
Bucket from Thunder means death. Like it's 0%
absolutely.
Probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
but the T-Jolts, I don't know.
That's
exactly.
also what. Yeah, actually. Oh, sorry,
yeah.
you were saying.
Yeah. I mean, and the T-Jolts, I don't know exactly like what percentage if a bucket gets filled with only T-Jolts, right? I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure Game & Watch can definitely do throw combos into it. So I mean, worst case scenario, Game & Watch gets like ton of percent, or Pikachu probably just, you know, gets the stock taken just because Pikachu's so light.
Well, I see some on the chat saying that 3 T-Jolts filling the bucket will kill at 0, so there's that. Shinymark definitely does want to be careful with it, and now that you mention it, I didn't think of the Thunder earlier, but yeah, that is true. If he tries to go for that Thunder, you know, just feeding into the bucket, if he ever fills that up, that's death at 0 as well. And yeah, Shinymark not that confident with his projectile play, knowing that. But also, look at Pikachu. I mean, he's really small. How will he get across those, especially the neutral air? You know, the hitboxes with the fish. When all of the fish come out, it kind of make a helmet around Game & Watch, so it's kind of impossible for him to approach, unless he does so with a very, very precise hitbox. But this won't happen. That's the forwarder on the ledge getup, and that's death as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so many lingering hitboxes. Even the neutral B is so great against Pikachu. Just quick attack in general. The drag down, the up tilt gets the damage here. Ooh, the bucket does not catch the Thunder. Big break here for Shinymark. Tries to get the down smash reverse. Okay. Tried to go for, I love the quick attack to ledge there. I think what Shinymark was going was for a ledge trump there, but doesn't hit. And yeah, that Nair is so disjointed. Definitely one of Game & Watch's best moves, if not best move. It's just in terms of like how hard it is to beat and the damage you get, and like you use it in neutral a lot too. I mean, I know some people would probably argue up B as well, but yeah, definitely a very strong move for Game & Watch, especially against Pikachu, where again Pikachu wants to fall on top of you or set up T-Jolts coming down on top of you. So when you have Nair to also just control that space, Pikachu can struggle a lot.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the traits you might get will usually not work out in your favor, but if Shinymark commits to throwing the T-Jolts to face off that option, might work, but still, you still have to consider the game plan, well, the mind game of how often will he actually bucket those. And you know what? I was waiting for the third game to start for me to say this, but I think that Shinymark should have played this with Lucina, knowing how hard of a matchup it is for Pikachu, and also knowing that he has that Lucina hidden. You know, it's hidden for a reason. He doesn't use it quite as much as Pikachu, of course. It is his main after all, but the Lucina is there. It's a legit counter pick against Game & Watch, so I think it would have been a much better idea, at least in terms of being more sure of the options you can go for. No projectile to fill up the bucket and all. Might have been a great game plan, but it is what it is, and we are seeing Game 3, and Maister is just eating Shinymark up.
I love that Shinymark earlier went for a setup into the sour up airs. That would have been great amount of damage. Didn't completely get it. That's definitely one of the harder things to do with Pikachu. You know, there's the standard loops and, you know, the combo strings that you end with like a fair or a back air. But when you can set up the sour up air, like the sour up air chain, that's where it gets crazy. Oh my goodness. I don't know if that's a full bucket, but definitely it might not matter. Yeah, the back air is going to take it. Maister with a dominating 3-0 over Shinymark.
Yes, that was such a dominating set, and you know, just giving themselves the nods, kind of like in game 1, like, yeah, I know what happened, I know what I was doing, but yeah, really sad to see it go down that way. Shinymark and Andric are the two players